And now we're going to do the shiur of Tes Elul. Okay? And the Alter Rebbe wants to say something deeper. Now let's put it straight. So far we have two madregas. Madrega number one is that Shalom with Tevin is only Yossi. Madrega number two, that Shalom with Tevin could be now also only B'Shas HaTfilah. Now we're going to learn the third madrega, that the Shalom with Tevin could be permanent. In other words, you can become a madrega's tzaddik. How? So it requires a Hagdom. It's well known. The Jewish people by nature are compassionate and kind. It's a good thing. It's a nature of a Jew to be Favos. You should know that in the Inquisition, they didn't know who Jews were because Jews were undercover. They were Moranos. So they used to watch people who were descendants of Jews by the bullfights. The rodeo. What do they call it in Spanish? Huh? There's another word that they use. Because during the rodeo, the fighters, the bullfighters, would be killed sometimes. If the ox was lucky, you could literally raise a man up by goring him and just ripping him open. And the Spanish would scream, they loved blood. And the Jews would recoil because it was disgusting. And they would watch to see how people react to blood. And they identified Jews because they didn't enjoy it. This was how the Spanish identified Jews during the hundreds of years of Inquisition. Because B'teva Yid has a rachman. Even for an animal. For a human being. Verstehst? So it's a Teva Ba'yid. Is that good or bad? And the answer is both. Teva has a big mile, you don't have to work for it. But Teva has a Medida V'Agbala. Because the Yid's neshama comes Mimidesav Yizbalach from the Eibishter's Midas. Asher HaChesed Gever Behen. In a Yid, Chesed dominates Al Midas Adin V'Agvura V'Atzimtzum over judgment and severity and limitation. It says in the pasuk, Govar Chazdei Al Yerei. Yidden that are called Yereyav have a predominance of Chesed. Meaning, when a Yid gives tzedakah, it's possible that a Jew is giving tzedakah because of his nature. It's his teva. When a Jew gives tzedakah, but he's giving tzedakah based on his nature alone, says the Alter Rebbe, Nikre B'Shem Maisat tzedakah. It's called the first thing in the pasuk we had on Kufi Zayin Amud Aleph. It's an act of charity, an act of righteousness, an act of justice. Kishem Maisa Neifel Al Davar. You could use the word action about something shekvad nas that either has already occurred, or shenas tamid memela, or it's for sure going to happen. A Yid is going to do Maisat tzedakah. You know why? It's his teva to be a chastan and a rachman. It's something which is present and it happens all the time. So when a Yid does chesed mitzad his teva, that's called Maisat tzedakah. It's not called the action of tzedakah. It's the event of tzedakah, because by a Yid giving tzedakah according to his teva is natural. The same is true here. Is the attribute of kindness and compassion. That is hut ba'ab nefashas kol beit Yisrael, which is branded into the nature, fixed into the nature. As you guys know, the word teva is moshen matbeh, which means a mint. It's molded into the character of the Jew. Mikvar, from the past. Me'ez b'riyus, from the time they were created. V'yishtal shalusna, the time that they chain reacted, they evolved. Mimideis v'izbarach l'mitzvah the Eibishter. So it says in the pasuk, and this is explained in Iger Satshuva Pedig Dalet. The idea of Vayipach ba'apa v'geimer, Hashem blew us into this goof, and therefore Vayipach we're still connected to our Sheidish and Mitzvah Yenes Yankav Chaval Nachalos. V'at anafachta bi Hashem blew us into the goof, and we know it says in Zayir Amand Nafel one blows, he blows from his innermost points. Therefore, a Yid down here is still connected to the Midas Yenes, which is his Makkah v'Sheidish, and as a consequence, a Yid's teva of Chesed is mitzad the teva alone. V'gam, moreover, not only is our Sheidish Chesed, and since Hashem blew us, we remain attached to our Sheidish, but every single day, betuvi with Hashem's goodness, mechadesh ma'aseh, Hashem renews everything that He made. V'chadash ma'apkalim v'cholu, each morning there's a renewal, and therefore by a Yid there's a renewal of this teva of Chesed. So when a Yid gives Chesed mitzad his teva, it's called Maisat tzedakah. And what does the pasuk say? V'haya Maisat tzedakah shalom. A Jew who is giving tzedakah only according to his nature, it still creates peace. However, Lashon avoida, avoida tzedakah, the labor of tzedakah, says Alter Rebbe, einei neifel al davar sh'adam meisa b'yigid. Einei neifel doesn't fall el al davar, only on such a thing, sh'ha'adam meisa b'yigiyat sumah, that a person does which regret this toil, negative and after against his nature. Rak, but rather, Shemavatal Tiva Yereteni, you break your nature and your will, Mipneirat Ne'el Baruch, because it is the eternal will of the Eibishter. Again, for example, you're not stam learning Torah, you're learning 101 times. You're not stam giving tzedakah, you're giving more than 20%. Le'yageya atzmei, to toil oneself, b'teiro, b'tefillah, and learning and davening at mitzvah nefesh choli, till the very essence of the soul, which Alter Rebbe mentioned in Tanya, L'kutei Amarim, Perek Chav Hei, which is about Mesiras Nefesh. V'afkan b'mitzvahs tzedakah. The same is true with tzedakah. That when you give according to your tava, that's called ma'aseh tzedakah. And the pasuk says, "V'haya ma'aseh tzedakah shalom." I'm going to save the suspense. That means the ma'aseh tzedakah shalom. When you give tzedakah according to your nature, it creates shalom. You know what shalom means in the cholang of Riya's world. V'avedas tzedakah. When you give tzedakah beyond your teva, hachker v'etach ad eila means that you create shalom b'tiv shel kis nefesh b'havas and that when a person lead and have a yosem mitava rachmanus yiretzeni, to give more than the nature of his compassion and will. The Gemara says, Al Pasuk and the Pasuk, Nasan Titna Filamei Piyama V'chuli. The Tim says double Losh, Nasan Titins. This is the famous story of Dibbetedik Losh of the other. Reb Shimon, right? The Elam Tzias. And the other day it says, Nasan Titna Filamei Piyama. There's no limit to how much stock you give. This is called giving stock at the level of Avodah. And of course, we're going to have to learn the Shir of Yud on Thursday, but I'll just tell you the Nakuda. Ma'aseh tzedakah according to your nature, creates shalom b'mayis shalmayla, not b'mayis shalmata. B'mayis shalmata, it'll only create shalom b'asud lovei and b'shas tefillah. Avedas tzedakah, when you break your nature, you become a tzaddik. Hash le'retach ad elam, the shalom is not just between chesed and gevurah, it's also between teva and ra.